Happy holidays from Pacific Ashtanga Yoga Shala. We are a few days away from Christmas here, and the semester is, why Ashtanga? Why are you all here today? Why are all of you watching this video? Because something drew you to yoga, something drew you specifically to the method of Ashtanga Yoga. So the last couple weeks we've been talking about Krishnamacharya, our teacher's journey, and how he found and studied the practice, and when it was time for him to teach it, his teacher told him to teach to be a grihasta, to get married and have a family and teach it to householders like us. So I highly recommended last week and always The Heart of Yoga by TKV Deskachar, which is Krishnamacharya's son. And in this book, as you start to read a little bit about yoga's history and his father's history, one of the things that's unique to all of us choosing the path of yoga and choosing the particular lineage from Krishnamacharya is that we use this practice to not only keep ourselves physically healthy, but also to keep ourselves energetically healthy and emotionally healthy. And we were talking last week about Krishnamacharya creating yoga schools and also yoga clinics. And in that, one of the things that I found was very unique in the way he taught is that he really wanted people as students to be treated as individuals and to always look at their practice as, you know, what's happening in your life, what's happening with your health. And kind of like some of the Ayurvedic medicine and Chinese medicine, yoga is really meant to be the jungle physician, right? The, how do we say jungle physician in the invocation? Yes. So we in the invocation, we talk about the jungle physician being that healer for us, or the doctor that keeps us healthy, like in the older traditions of medicine, rather than going when we're broken. As that yoga is meant to be that thing that helps keep all of us vibrant and healthy. But in that, really finding the path that is right for you. So this week I was saying, you know, Krishnamacharya actually taught a number of different teachers that we're all familiar with now. He taught Iyengar, he taught Indra Devi, he taught his son a different method of teaching yoga, and Pattabhi Jois. And all of them kind of spread the yoga the way that they were taught, and we know that in the West now, that there are different lineages and different ways of practicing the same yoga poses. So just take Iyengar and Pattabhi Jois, the Ashtanga method, for example. If you go look at Iyengar's book, Light on Yoga, does everyone have that book? That one should be in everyone's library as well. It's the same poses that we do, but in fact, we do them very differently. The methodology to do those poses is quite different. And I was telling a story on Leah this week, saying that her daughter came to visit and was doing Ashtanga with us and enjoyed it. And where does she live? Where? Long Beach? I had said she lived in San Francisco, so I got that part wrong. Yeah. So she enjoyed the practice, and then I said, well, you can go find an Ashtanga practice where you live. And last time I saw her, I said, did you find a yoga practice? And she said, yeah, but it was really different than this. And I was perplexed. I'm like, Ashtanga should be pretty much the same. That is our methodology, is we do the same poses the same way. And I said, well, what was the class like? She goes, well, we pretty much sat and listened to the instructor for most of the class, and then at the end, we got out blankets and bricks and did something. And I said, that was an Iyengar class, right? So we sort of understand, the more you do yoga, the differences between the way that we actually do these yoga poses, or the breathing and the system around them. So we could say that in the Iyengar system, it's very much focused on good form and using it as a healing practice. It's more static. You could do 1 or 2 poses for a complete hour or an hour and a half, whereas the Krama system and the Ashtanga system is based on movement and breath. And so we are taught to do a sequence of poses in a very specific order, and to come in and out of them in a very specific way we call vinyasa, and that's what makes this system unique. And for all of you in the room, for the most part, we're drawn to this because something in you resonated with this movement, this breath and movement, and this being a moving meditation. And the heat and the fire of this practice, the focus of this practice for all of you was something that pulled you in and said, this works for me, this feels like coming home to something. And in that, then all of us kind of find our way to honoring where we are in our life at that time, where our body is at that time, and we still find how to use this as our medicine, and to really, each time we come and do the same poses in the same order, to do it in a way that really benefits our body. Krishnamacharya said this in a little bit different way than I do. I'm going to read it in the quote today, but I always say to you guys, you don't serve your yoga practice. You don't serve the pose. The pose serves you. And in that, as your teacher on this path and the practice being your teacher, I'm always looking for ways to check in with all of you, like what's happening in your body right now? Is your back hurting? What can we do different? Someone fell and hurt their wrist so they can't do chaturangos. Well, what can we do? And your life as well, like I've known some of you for over 20 years now. You've been practicing Ashtanga, practicing with me, and I could tell you all about your children and getting married, and the little ones growing up, and all the different things that have happened in your life, because that's what we bring to our yoga mat. For me to be a teacher in this lineage and to be a teacher to all of you means I know everything about what you bring to your health, what you bring to your mat. And always trying to encourage all of you to see this mat as, like Krishnamacharya did, is this place where you're going to keep yourself healthy, and it's going to be your medicine for your emotions as well as your physical body. And for you and for I to really work together to, I think the hardest thing I'm up against in my workings with each one of you is this, right? Because you're always like, well, I used to be able to do that, or I want to be able to do this, or why can't I, and there's that constant tug of the mind rather than just being, this is like brushing your teeth. This is you just coming and staying clean in all of your koshas. This is a place you can challenge yourself, but not over-push yourself. But there's always that dance, that we can find here. And I so enjoy like working with all the different bodies, and as you well know, sometimes you guys will come to me and say, oh, I'm so bummed, Anna, I hurt my, elbow, and I'll be like, oh, good. Now we'll make a practice that has to do with your elbow being weird or whatever. But also just the fun of working with everyone, just your different bodies. So I asked Cheryl to be my demo today, and Cheryl has been a student here for over 20 years. And we're very close in age, although I'm the elder. We're very close in age, and we are very close in what we're doing in our yoga practice. But the other day I was observing, just in the simplest first series pose, how different we are not because our muscle structure, although she is a swan and used to be a dancer, so our muscle structure is very different. I'm more of a male version of female in my body type. So you kind of have the swan and then the other side with Cheryl and I. But also what I want to point out when you see the demo we're about to do is I want you to notice our skeletons are different. Everyone in this room has a different skeleton. So we're going to do our first series pose. Ubhaya Parangushtasana. On my microphone, sorry. So just looking at the structure, I know some of you are in front of us rather than on the side. I just want you to note the large span between my feet and my shoulders, and my arms are in full extension, and then to look at the span, go back to yours, and to look at the distance between Cheryl's. She's the same, she's in full extension, and look where her shoulders sit in comparison to her legs being the same as I was. Her arms are just extended, her legs are perfectly extended, and again bear this all in mind as you look at her again, and look at where I sit in the exact same position, how closely my shoulders are to where my feet are compared to her span here as well. You can come down. And all of this is skeleton. It has nothing to do with our muscles or our injuries, or she's more flexible. She is more flexible than I am. But it has nothing to do with our flexibility. It just has to do with the bone structure we were given. And so it's just a great reminder for all of us in the room today that you all come to this practice with different bodies and different abilities, strengths, and what we would consider weaknesses, and different things happening in your life, and that this is a place where we bring all that, and we really look at, like, how does it practice, how does a pose serve me? Krishnamacharya said, "The essence of my father's teachings is this: it is not that the person needs to accommodate him or herself to yoga, but rather the yoga practice must be tailored to fit each person. Yoga serves the individual and does so through inviting transformation rather than giving information." This week, take a few moments to sit and breathe before you start your practice and reflect. Your personal journey brought you here, to this place, at this time, with this community. Invite transformation. Namaste.